G'day, Nathan here from SEQH, and joining me in our special Wonderful Women in Logistics series, I have the amazing Sarah.
Hello.
So Sarah, just a quick little intro about her, has spent about 6 years in the industry.
Yes.
A short time with us at SEQH, but previous to that was working at Gateway Container Hire and Sales and the Empty Park.
Yes.
And learnt a lot there. So now you're in our bookings department, looking after all things exports, dabbling in imports as well, and then also doing some triangulations too.
Yes, it's definitely been an eye-opener coming over to the logistics side of things from an empty park, but
Yep.
I've learnt a lot of new things and there's been a few challenges along the way, but it's definitely been exciting starting something new.
Yes. All right, so kicking things off, what drew you into the transport and logistics industry in the first place? How did it come about?
Well, I was actually fresh out of high school and I went into a uni course that I didn't particularly like.
Okay.
So I decided I was going to have a gap year where I would work for 12 months, save up a little bit of money and then go back to uni.
5 years later.
5 years later, here I am. So I started out working at the Empty Park and I was getting paid a pretty good wage for an 18-year-old. And I decided that I really liked the industry and I stayed.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Fantastic. All right. And look, that's quite common as well, that people leave, finish school, go into uni, go into study, realise that that's not necessarily what they're interested in doing, move across to find some employment, and then for yourself, you've jumped well past that 12 months and 5 years at Gateway and nearing a year here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. All right. So what's been your greatest learning experience thus far?
My greatest learning experience in the transport industry is that nothing ever goes to plan.
Yes. Yeah.
You can plan and you can plan and you can plan and you can hope that everything is going to go right.
Yep.
However, a lot of the times you will find hiccups. And I think with our interview that we had, you even told me that the most important thing is to be able to problem solve.
Yes.
And I have definitely found that in logistics, problem solving is...
It's a great art, isn't it?
It's an art and it's something that we do every single day.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's all about being organised, isn't it, Sarah? You know, working in advance, doing your counts,
pre-planning everything.
Working with team members. If you can't work with team members, then you can't problem solve.
No, it's extremely important to work well with your team and being able to, when you're pre-planning, be able to foresee any problems or downfalls that you might have. So if you're constantly doing that on your own, it can be quite exhausting. So it is important to have your team support you there.
Yeah. Okay. And so what with those challenges and all that problem solving that takes place, what would you say are some of the things that keep you motivated, focused and engaged and keeps you coming back 6 years later?
Money.
Yes, money.
No.
Pay the bills.
Yeah. No, I think it's because no day, even though you are dealing with the same things on a day-to-day basis, it's like no day is ever the same. You kind of walk in and you're like, okay, what challenges are we going to face today? So it doesn't get boring.
Yes.
So that's kind of motivating enough to get you out of bed each morning.
Yeah. Okay. And I guess, like in your role, looking at your role, you're dealing with, you've got bookings that come in for X date, but then the vessel might get rolled.
Yes.
And then you might have two vessels that are virtually receiving together.
Yes.
So you've got the challenges of getting all of those containers in across those two vessels, across several different terminals as well.
Yes.
So those are some of the challenges that are taking place. What else? What else is coming about?
As you mentioned, when you're trying to get all the containers in while everything is receiving can always be quite challenging, especially when we have the volumes that we have.
Yes.
One of the biggest challenges I find, to be completely honest with you, will be when we have our log exports that are receiving and you can't necessarily, if you don't have boxes from like the general pool to match them up with, having to run them in singularly and making cut-offs is it's tough.
Yeah, you're not working two at a time. You're working one at a time.
One at a time. Only being able to take one box into the wharf at a time is extremely challenging.
Yes.
Working around having 2 shifts in only if I'm working on day shift, it doesn't stop when I go home. So then we have our night shift come round. And sometimes in the morning I'll come in and there's been 10 problems that have happened on night shift, and you're like, okay, I haven't sat down yet, but we've got some problems to solve. Let me get my coffee and let's go. Yeah,
could be terminal shutdowns, IT systems going down.
IT systems, releases not working. Wasn't able to get this box. This container got blocked in at the customer site. The gate was locked, the pin's been closed, all those kinds of things. Yes.
And we got to fix them all on day shift straight away in the morning.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So there's a little insight into what happens. So if you like problem solving, then that's what happens in transport, which is a buzz, because when you do find solutions to those, it's like, oh my God, I got every box into the terminal.
Yeah,
this is a win.
That's rewarding, especially when you're able to give your allocators a high five at the end of the day and say, look, it was a tough day, but we did it. Yeah. So that's a good feeling.
Exactly. We did it. When there's a failure, everyone fails. When there's a win, everyone wins.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So next question. I don't want to generalize too much, but and I asked this question because, in our office here, we have quite a mix between males and females. And I personally like having that balance. So working alongside women in the industry, what benefits can you see?
Working with women has been an extremely important part of my journey. I feel without the women that I've worked alongside, I probably wouldn't have made it as far as I have. I've generally had women in my team, and we really lift each other up, support each other. If someone is having a particularly bad day, it's always take 5 minutes out for your team and say, hey, look, what's wrong? And a lot of the time they're happy to have a chat, and then we can get on with the day. Or
and you were talking before about even examples like Tyler at Gateway, how she's not afraid to get out of the office, go down the workshop, talk to the team members down there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Like there is nothing that men can do that women can't.
No. Exactly.
I've seen a lot of the times women are real go-getters as well in the industry. They'll get their steel cap boots on, go out, go get the job done. Even with Emily in the warehousing role as well, I've seen her do the same thing. She's got a go-getting attitude. That's amazing as well. I feel like a lot of the women in this industry are really strong, strong-willed, strong-powered, and that's really uplifting too. You've got all these amazing women that you're working aside, and they do lift you up and they support you as well. Yeah.
And look, in your department downstairs, you're setting the pace for all the transport that's taking place. You're the ones that are planning and organising things. You're strategically thinking about that and working with our team in operations. So, it's very good. Very good. So, last question is, what advice can you share with others who might be looking for a career in our industry?
If you were looking at getting into the industry, especially if you're just a junior, it's coming in as an entry position role is really good, because then you can, there's always places to go. Where I feel like sometimes if you were to go down other paths for example, childcare, fair enough if you really love children and stuff, but a lot of the time, unless you're going to become the director of the centre, there's not always a lot of places to go. Where I feel like in this industry, you're always able to move up, progress. You can start as a junior admin, you could move on to your quarantine or warehousing section, you can move into your bookings. There's always accounts to move up to. You can become the managers. You can also take it worldwide as well. So you're not always stuck in one place. It's quite universal because there's ports all around the world.
And given I think the number is around about 90% of
motivating enough too.
That's the second money drop you've made.
Oh, sorry.
Look at you go. She loves the cashola. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you very much. Is anything further you want to shout out to the world? No, you're all good?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Thanks, guys. See ya.
Yeah.